We're doing it anyways. We're going live. It's 8 o'clock. We got the stream popping, and we're gonna we're gonna do it anyways. I'm glad to hear that you guys are finally reaching the end of that 2-year rainbow. I don't know what's going on with the bullwhip. I'll have to look into it more tomorrow. But I'm sure there was some parking lot shenanigans. It's been kind of getting worse, like recently a little bit. Like there's been a lot more homeless people in the parking lot, I would say, over the last few weeks than we had all year for sure. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. And there's been more there's been more stuff, like it causes more incidents, I guess, like around the store, which sucks. It's been relatively quiet for a long time, so it's when I hear that unsafe Safeway thing like pop back up, I'm always like, oh man, dude, come on. Like, you know how hard it is to like shake a reputation? Give we'll give it. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, go ahead and mute it up, and feel free to chat whenever. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes just to let people trickle in. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the At What Caught This Discord meeting bi-weekly every other Wednesday at 8 o'clock. We do this because our union does not. It's important that union members, rank and file members, have a space to come together and talk, share their common struggles, discuss what's going on in the workplace, help build community and solidarity. Union meetings are a very obvious place where that occurs. And, we asked our union to do that, and they said, nah, we'd rather not. So we started doing it ourselves. And here we are. This is our 27th. I think I mentioned we do them every other Wednesday, 8 o'clock. We're live on YouTube. Full transparency. Another thing that, in response to accusations of what this was all about, we decided to just share everything online. It's also important for union members that don't have the ability to join live to have a place to still, see the conversation and add their voice. And so this, at what cost is the thing that has grown out of wanting that to exist for all the people here in UFCW Local 8. And this is our bi-weekly meeting. I notice there's a lot of people that have been coming to the YouTube channel specifically through the YouTube shorts that the channel's been putting out. So if you happen to catch this meeting through those, what's up? Hi. This is the very union local specific arm of this operation. And it will continue to be that. This will always be a spot where we can come and, like I said, talk about our working conditions, build solidarity, all the things that are really important for us to do as we move towards a more militant UFCW union that is ready and willing to take action against our employers in the face of injustices in the workplace. And that's not something that you can just flip a switch on and call. It's something that requires trust, and trust requires knowing I almost said the F word, who the heck we all are. So welcome. What's up, Janik? I see you. If that means you made it home safely, then congratulations. If that means you're still driving, please be safe. Real quick, through our social media pages, all the points that you can connect with At What Cost Online. We've had some continued steady growth and flatlining. Discord, somebody dipped out. Sorry to lose you. And we have not gained any new members in a while. So if you're out there listening and you want a place to, basically it's a union hall. It's a virtual union hall, and it continues to grow and change into whatever the members want it to be. Now including social channels for books, movies, music, games, and sports, which boring. Nobody wants to talk about sports. Somebody I'm sure is out there just being like, man, if only my union hall had a sports channel. There it is. Instagram continues to grow. 7 new followers on Instagram. Shout out to everybody that hangs out there on the pictures. Jake runs that channel. Jake is stagnating over here, but continues to see channel growth. That is cool. Facebook stayed flat at 128. Facebook, I think, and we'll talk some more about this in just a little bit, but I think that there's a good case to be made for making our Facebook group public and talking about our At What Cost campaign on that channel a little more loudly for people out there. There's a lot of Safeway, there's a lot of union members on Facebook of a certain crowd. I don't want to say the complaining crowd, but passionate about their jobs crowd. And it'll be nice if they're able to find us as we continue to build this slate that we're working on from the At What Cost group to run for local office here in UFCW Local 8. But Facebook page, we'll talk more about that. Gina and Jenica have been keeping that thing going. 128 members there. If you're on Facebook, join. And YouTube, what's up to all the YouTube members? Pretty awesome growth on the channel. 18, I think, new subscribers since our last meeting. And a lot of new people coming to the channel through the conversations that we're having during the week on YouTube Shorts. So if you are a person, and I guess there's a lot of them now that don't, like watching long videos or listening to long podcasts or whatever, bite-sized union conversations and working class conversations available on the At What Cost YouTube channel. And I highly encourage and invite At What Cost members to please, if you're so inclined, to please add yourself onto there. Contact me. Let's do some more videos and content together. It's basically right now it's my face like over and over again, and that's pretty lame. It would be cool if there were other people talking about this stuff like I know they are in their workplaces. I have those conversations with you all the time. Let's make more of that stuff and put it out there for people to see, because I think it's really important for us workers to see each other out there and know that we're having these conversations, recognize that those conversations build collective power, and that collective power is what we can use against our employers to help improve our lives and working conditions. That's the point of unionism. That's why we have unions, is to make our lives better and our jobs better. And the company will always be working against that goal. And unfortunately, in some of our situations, personally ours, it feels this way for us. That's the situation that we're in, where the company's winning and the union seems to be pretty okay with it. Lastly, we have our shared link, and I'm gonna throw this up in the YouTube chat actually right now so that it's there. I think this is something that people can access through this video going forward. So if you're not watching live right now but you're catching it later, in the chat is a link that you can access for it's kind of like a link tree, I guess you would call it. All the things we just talked about, you can connect At What Cost through that website. And I highly encourage you share it with your coworkers. It allows them to find us through the platform that they use. And we have a couple new links at the top for those of you that are new or haven't heard. We are running an at-what-cost slate for local election in UFCW Local 8. If you would like to get updates regarding that slate, it is the top link. If you would like to donate the money that is required to run an election against a giant gangster, you can click that link and do so, and we greatly appreciate it. We have had so far 3 donations that have allowed us to print our first batch of flyers, which I will be picking up tomorrow. That is very cool, and that is worker power in action. It's how this is all going to be possible. It's the only way this is all going to be possible is if we come together and work together and stand together. So shout out to the people that have donated so far. That's cool. And the work is just beginning. So stay tuned for more. What's up, guys, in the Discord server? Just want to say shout out to you guys. Thank you for coming. You want to say what's up to everybody out there and let them know that other people exist besides me? Nope, just me. That's so funny. Good to see. it's it's good to see you. It's good to see you, Jenica. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. For those of you listening and catching this later, and for you two that are in here right now, we've been doing this is our 27th meeting. I think it's really important that this space and this meeting that we have every 2 weeks, we need to make sure that membership knows that it's a place where we can come together and have these kinds of conversations about what's going on in our workplace. I'm going to bring something up right now that we've been talking about in our store, and I think that people knowing that every other Wednesday at 8 o'clock, this space exists where we can come and talk about this stuff and come up with ways to solve it is really important, especially because I think that out there, like I'm right now, what's coming to my mind is like the wage theft issue with everybody's pay being jacked up and everybody being on the wrong tiers, and all the work that has gone into getting those audits completed and those hours corrected and those retro paychecks like that are finally hitting, like they're called settlement checks, like where people are getting them. Shout out to our coworker. I won't say who he is in case he wants to be anonymous, but he got his $4,000 settlement check for how incorrectly his grievances have been, or his not his grievance, his hours steps, they were like miscalculated so far back that the correction was 8,000 or $4,000. I'm sorry. That's how bad that problem is. And if we hadn't been like having these conversations and speaking on this kind of stuff, what's up, Julie? It's good to see you. And speaking on these kinds of things, like we wouldn't all in our store specifically, and in this chat where it's been a topic of conversation that has created its own channel. We wouldn't know about this, and if we weren't putting the pressure on the union to stay on top of this, like I don't think that people would be getting the resolution that they're getting right now. So that's the importance of spaces like these, and I want to be able to have like these kinds of conversations, and I want people that are working out there in UFCW Local 8 to know that there is a space they can come to have these conversations. So if you're hearing this meeting, if you're catching it either live right now for you guys that are here on YouTube or in the Discord server, or people that are watching it later, let your coworkers know, like pitch the idea of this space existing and see what their response is to that, because I would be, there is a way for us to have these conversations that make more people aware of them, than just like in our break rooms and stuff where I know they're happening. So consider that angle as we move through this topic, which is our shop stewards. And what I think we should consider as an action item for our group at what cost over the next like month or so, couple months, or maybe even moving into the holidays. And just so we're all on the same page, like the outlook cost slate and the outlook cost campaigning and all that stuff, that's something that's happening like separate from this group, which will continue to exist like beyond, hopefully, beyond even just the creation of like this election campaign and stuff. So I don't want anybody to think that that's the purpose of this. This is so much beyond that. Like, I think the value of this is so much beyond that. So like these action items are to that. So you know, if you would like to volunteer and participate and help support like everything we're doing with regards to that election, like please reach out to anybody that's on the slate, reach out to anybody that's already participating, and we'll absolutely get you plugged into that. But this stuff is like always ongoing and will always be something that I think is important as like we continue to like build and strengthen our union. So two separate things for those of you that are keeping track. Our shop stewards, I think that they are woefully unprepared and left unprepared for what it is that their roles and responsibilities are within our union. And I don't think, or within our workplace, I mean, and I don't think that our union is equipping them with the tools that they need to face the pressures that they have at work, trying to manage and handle contract violations, trying to stand up against bosses that may be disciplining outside of the boundaries of the contract or the rules of the store. Even like a good example would be like unfairly holding employees to standards unevenly applied across the board. Like earbuds is a good one that comes into my mind. Like if you're listening to music on, and if you have an earbud in your ear, and like in some departments that's okay, but in some departments that's not like that's not allowed. So you can't get in trouble for something that someone else is not getting in trouble for, basically, is the thing there. And having your shop steward there to help enforce that and help keep the playing field level, and be keeping an eye on the schedule for contract violations, for example, and bringing those grievances to management's attention to get them solved, like before they have to become like the official grievance procedure. Like all of that is something that our shop stewards should be very actively doing, and that's a big job for one person. And so we've been talking in my store where shop steward Kevin, who has been in the group causing mayhem for since the beginning of time, but has never really taken like any of this really seriously. Like I've been really trying to pressure him to do that, at least like in the role of his shop steward, because for me, like that's the kind of shop steward that I would like as a union member, is a partner on the sales floor, on the shop floor, like with me, making sure that our union contract is being followed and being upheld, and that our working conditions are, being fairly and justly applied to all the employees in the store, so that, it doesn't feel like a shitty, unfair place to work because, you're not the boss's favorite, so you're not getting special treatment. Like that sucks. Uh, that's a big job that takes like a training and preparation, that takes tools, that takes time, that takes the right person. It takes representation of the membership in the store, all things that like I think the current shop stewards that we have, especially the shop stewards in at what cost, like shout out to you guys. I think that you guys are like the right people. I think you really do care. I think that if there were to be like an election in your store, for example, for shop stewards, that you would probably win your seats. But I think that we should consider, like as union members, like taking matters into our own hands and starting to collectively demand and push for a better shop steward program. Does anybody have anything that any thoughts like directly in response to that, before I kind of jump into some things I've been thinking about? I agree with that. And just for people that are following, you are a shop steward, correct? Yeah, and I agree. Like we have these conversations all the time. I agree with that 100%. And as far as the by design part, and just to kind of piggyback on what Julie's saying, um, withholding of information. Anytime that you see, you know, access to information being restricted for reasons that you can't understand, it's usually to control um, people. Because the less they know, the less that they're able to take agency and make change, which is why, like, for example, even knowing that we can do this and that we can push for this is outside the scope of what most people think is even possible. But, like, let's remember this is our union, and part of the reasons it's weak is because we're weak. Like, we've allowed it to get weak by not participating, by not doing the thing, by not pulling the levers that we do have access to through our contract, our strike authorization, and our union elections, but also not through doing things like I'm about to suggest right now to help build stronger unions. Like if we as are stronger stewards, like if we as union members want that and our stewards want that, then our union leadership needs to respond to that. And if they don't, we need to be very vocal about how that makes us feel. But ultimately, we can just do it ourselves. Like, we don't need anybody's permission to do any of this stuff. We could actually just decide all these things, but I think that it's a good idea for us to all participate within the framework of our union, because, ultimately down the road, when power is restored to the union membership and union democracy is back on the table, this is how people will be able to express their desire for change. So, other than, just which they could also just do it too, so that power isn't removed. I'm sorry, go ahead. I think that was very beautifully put. That sounded so poetic. I'm going to try to repeat it and hopefully not mess it up. But you said that we are not controllable. We are professional and we are respectful, but we will not be controlled. And I think that that is beautiful, because that's absolutely true. And our union, the power of our union, the power of our solidarity, proves that we do not have to be controlled. That we do actually have the ability. If we can unlock this, if we can find this trust in each other, we have the ability to not be controlled, not just by our union, but not even by our employers. We have the ability to dictate the conditions of our workplace, but we have to keep doing this. We have to keep building the union muscle. We have to keep going to the gym and strengthening our solidarity, and things like this, like identifying a common issue that we've seen and we've heard echoed throughout the chats and the conversations that we've had with our coworkers, and call any store, talk to any shop steward. I bet any shop steward you find is one of two things. They're either a person that really cares and feels that they've kind of been left behind and unprepared, or it's a person that doesn't give a shit but really likes the fact that they have their union rep's phone number. uh and that's not that second thing is like not good for us, and that first thing like needs to be supported and like nurtured and like like fertilized and grown and spread. So like we need to, and I bet there's people that have become like shop stewards and then gotten disenfranchised with their union because they expected something more out of it. I know that's a huge part of what happened to me in my experience. So I don't exist in a vacuum, so I know that other people are feeling that too. Obviously we're having conversations about it now. um and to that point, I would also like to add that I don't blame, and this is kind of goes blanket for all working people. I place no blame on like the shop stewards, even the ones that are kind of like evil about it and like aligned with their rep in it, and like consider that they have special access and are trying to leverage it for a pipeline into a union staff job or whatever. You're just existing in the environment that rewards that behavior. So I'm not even gonna say that I hold that against you. Like none of this is any of our faults. But once we have highlighted the fact that it exists as an opportunity, and we've recognized the fact that we have power and agency to change it, it then does become our fault if we don't do those things. So um, that is to say that from this line backwards, nobody's fault. From this line forwards, if you know better, do better. Um, so here's my idea, and we're gonna try it in our store, and we're gonna try it with a petition. And shout out to Jenica who's in the chat and in the meeting. Petition master and a requester of Zoom meetings, which to the point of UFCW staff, and I know you enjoy watching these. You've done a very good job beating us down, because here we are doing live Zoom meetings, and still nobody's attending. So no one comes to your meetings, and no one comes to any meetings, and that's not, again, a fault of the worker. They need to recognize and realize that there's a power that's not being unlocked within that very simple action. And I think once we do, we will see much better results. And as you see what the power of organizing can do in stories that are coming out across the country right now, you see the power of working people organizing for positive change. There's a lot of strength in these actions. So they're here. The touch points are now available for you. We're going to do a petition. We've talked a lot in the past about structure tests and how we take actions together as a group that build our solidarity and build our structure, and those actions escalate in intensity because ultimately we want to be able to take that extreme action, which is a work stoppage like our strike, and to do that we have to build from the smaller actions. So this petition would be a petition for stronger stewards in our store. And there's three things that I think that we could petition on that most people would agree with and would support. And I would like to ask the people in the chat that are watching live now, and hopefully I'll hear back from you guys, but also anybody that's catching this later on YouTube, if you think that these three things could be a pretty strong foundation for a good steward program. So those three things are: number one, I think that it's very important that our stewards are elected, not appointed by the rep. That there should be stewardship elections within our each shop location where we have stewards, and that those stewards should be elected by the employees, the workers that are in the building. Number one. Number two, I think that we should increase the number of stewards in our store to the ratio that I think is pretty balanced would be one steward for every 20 employees. So if on average a store has 100 employees in it, that would leave 5 shop stewards available to be elected in the store. And then the third piece is that I would request that we have the implementation of a formal steward training program that occurs annually so that our stewards get taught their roles and responsibilities along with their legal rights. And for stewards that are being, elected year after year, they're constantly getting that information, getting reinforced, and then becoming more able to mentor and train the other stewards that are getting elected in the positions in the building. So, three things: elected stewards, a ratio of one steward for every 20 employees, and a formal steward training program that occurs annually, roles and responsibilities along with legal rights. Those are the three things that I think would be super beneficial for our shop stewards and create a really strong foundation for our shop stewards. Now, most of that stuff we can just do. Like, we don't need the UFCW to agree to like any of this, other than to really really show like the support of our union and the backing of our union, like in this like stewards program. Um, Unfortunately, I think the reality of the situation is, just by the virtue of like us here and At What Cost, like suggesting it, that it makes it less likely to happen. But I'm willing to ignore that reality and like push forward. And I'm curious what you guys think. And that I see a thumbs up in the chat. Um, if anybody has any other emoji reactions, feel free. But if you would like, if you have anything to say, or if you have anything that you think should be added to it or changed, like, please feel free to speak up. But that was what I was thinking for stewards, and a petition in the store to to get it going. That's true. I hear that. And I think so. To that point, if I were in a stewards group within my store, we would have like a group chat where um, we would be able to communicate as a group. And if it is like a, first of all, if it's a power issue, and some steward thinks that they have like some sort of like power, over the other steward or whatever. Another reason that elections are really important is I don't think the membership would like that type of representation from their stewards, or like to see a power struggle in their stewardship. When like the point of the shop steward is absolutely not to create any type of hierarchical step between the worker and the union rep. It is to have a supportive layer within the store, of people who have taken a voluntary approach to becoming union experts and want to use that expertise to support their coworkers. The incentive is to have a stronger union and to have greater solidarity when it comes to fighting for stronger contracts. Like that's what this is all about. And so, uh, I think you're right. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Including other shop stewards. Well, I mean, ultimately, that's a decision that you make with the person that you're having a conversation with. You know, that's a you know that's that, and you have the ability to go to, say, your group chat and ask for help from people in the group without outing a person's personal information and stuff if you needed help with a situation. So I agree that there's times where you would want to respect a member's anonymity, if they were sharing personal information with you in that regard, or were asking questions or having issues with, because there's a lot of times where you could be facilitating an issue that would involve multiple members, for example, that are disagreeing or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And like, actually, to that point, and like, no shade on you as a manager, but like, if a store didn't want shop stewards that were also in management, because that does create already, like, you're already like 1 foot on the other side. Like, that's a decision that the membership could make, and then you, as a person that cares very deeply about creating working conditions that support and uplift the worker, would have the ability to say why you feel you would be a good shop steward, and everybody would be able to pick their shop steward slate for their store. And to Julie's point, like, night crew should have someone to reach out to, across the shifts, like you mentioned as well. And I think that, like, the membership, the rank and file membership who was voting for their stewards, would be taking all of those things into consideration, right? Like, and that's actually, you made a really good point, Gina, is like, maybe the issue is with me, and then who do they go talk to if I'm the shop steward, and I've got this iron grip on, all issues in the store come through me. What if the person has an issue with me? We have to always be working towards uh, keeping the power in the hands of the worker, and making sure that they have access to do all the things that they need to do, to wield that power successfully. And that includes against, like, what could be potentially like a not good steward, right? Like a steward that's not not performing the duties or representing the membership that in the store, the way that the members want to be represented. And nobody brought it up here, and I, shout out to you guys for not bringing it up, because I didn't get to use my counterpoint. So I'm gonna fake bring it up so that I can use my counterpoint. A lot of people will say that they don't think steward elections are good because it creates a popularity contest, and then the most popular people in the store just get elected to be shop stewards. And the counter to that is that that's already what's happening. But the problem is, it's a popularity contest for your rep. And so they're just picking the person that they like the most. And that's not creating the best steward environment, especially because they pick the person that they want for the reasons that they want them. And then they leave them, like, out in the dust. Like, I will say asterisk and shout out to Gina. Like, she basically went and grabbed it, so it didn't, like, have the opportunity to go to a union bootlicker. But in many cases, like, that is what happens, unfortunately. So, uh, a good conversation, and good points made. I think that, like, we'll test it out and we'll see, like, how it's going. The reason that this came up as an issue was that My shop steward Kevin, shout out to you, brother. He's been like repeatedly and like formally requesting to be trained. And it's been 4 times now that he's requested stewards training, and I know Gina's been doing the same thing, and they're not getting it, and that's a misrepresentation from our union. They deserve better than that, and as a group of union reformers that believes the power lies in our hands, like we don't just keep asking, right? At some point, we well, I'm sure it was super performative, anyways. To be honest with you, like I don't get me wrong, like you should have been invited, but like I feel like unfortunately that, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe some people do genuinely care and do genuinely want a good job, do a good job, but it just seems like we're checking boxes when it comes to that. It's to say we had a class, not to actually build a strong steward, but maybe when we get down into Sacramento and we start talking to the membership in the stores out there, maybe we'll find out something different. Yeah, I agree with Julie's point. Sorry, go ahead, Gina. Yeah, we can do it. We can do it. We can make it real. I see Julie's comment about night crew not seeing their steward because the hours don't line up and they feel forgotten. And to that point, if we have steward elections, I guarantee you someone on night crew is getting elected. And having a steward group chat, like a group chat that all the stewards are in, gives a point of overlap for people with varying schedules. That's a really good reason why this digital union hall has so much value if people actually use it, is because you don't have to be there at the day and time that the conversation's happening. You can come to it when you have time and catch yourself up. And that technology allows us to do that in a way that wasn't possible before, right? The way that it happened before that was that it would get written down on a newsletter, and then that newsletter would get distributed for people that weren't at the meeting. um this is like instant, and so for us to be this weak as a labor movement, as a working class, for us to have this much broken like solidarity is a testament to the power that's working against us, because it's this easy, like it's right here, and we're gonna keep making it. We're gonna keep doing it. We're gonna keep having these conversations and keep connecting with our coworkers and building these reform movements to regain our power. But in light of this technology that should theoretically make it so easy, we are facing like some of the most difficult times we've ever had as a labor movement, not just against these bosses and these unions that are trying to keep us oppressed, but against like our own selves, that like we've gotten so suppressed that we don't even feel we have the power. That we've gotten to such a point of the razor's edge line of despair, like one misstep and it all falls apart. That we don't have the courage to take the risk to even push the envelope and demand change. That we feel that we're on the other side of everything happening to us and don't have the power to make things happen. And I think that's a good transition into this last point before we wrap this meeting up for the week. Uh, there is a group of people that are standing very proudly in defiance of everything I just said, and those are the Starbucks workers of Starbucks Workers United. Um, they've unionized and organized across, I think, close to like 700 or 800 Starbucks now across the country, uh, and they're a union. They have built their own union. Starbucks Workers United is like the UFCW, except for the whole top part doesn't exist. It's just baristas. They've built their own union across all of these coffee shops, using this technology, organizing from the bottom up, having one-on-one conversations with each other, getting contact information, holding meetings, holding calls, going to them, talking about the things that are impacting them in their workplace, taking those issues to their bosses, filing unfair labor practice charges when their bosses respond with union busting and illegal tactics, pressuring those bosses to recognize their union cards and sign their union contracts and negotiate with them and give their first contracts. That has now been going on for close to 2 years. And they just announced yesterday. So they had strike authorization votes last week across this union that they created, guys. So, like, when we talk about what we can and can't do, like, look at what these workers like are doing. They had a strike authorization vote across their unionized workers. They authorized a strike by 92%. And then yesterday they announced that if by November 13th, so 8 days from now, next Thursday, on Red Cup Day, if they do not have a contract, they're calling an open-ended strike, meaning they're all walking out with no date to return. And this is in response to hundreds and hundreds of unfair labor practice charges that they have filed against Starbucks for things as egregious as straight up firing baristas for being the one that led the union drive in their coffee shop. The NLRB, the governing body of the labor industry of our rights under the NLRA, is completely non-existent. They don't have a quorum because they've fired everybody and then not appointed replacements. So it's basically frozen. And if you're chicken, you think that means that you can't do anything because you can't get the legal support of the NLRB. But if you're Starbucks workers or actual like badass militant labor working people like us, you know that means that nobody can stop you. And so they're going for it. And I want to say shout out and solidarity to them because the amount of courage that it takes to even organize a union is insane. To do it by yourself without the support of like the Teamsters or the SEIU is absolutely nuts. And I can't wait to see what happens. This is something that we should all be watching and paying attention to. We should all of us, all union members, all UFCW members, and when you don't see the UFCW coming out and saying something officially in solidarity with these workers, the Teamsters, everybody, no coffee, no contract. You don't buy Starbucks, you don't drink Starbucks, you don't shop at Starbucks, you don't tell anybody about Starbucks. Starbucks is a non-existent company until they recognize their workers that have legally unionized and are negotiating their union contract. Collective bargaining, the conditions of our working environment at the risk of withholding our labor is what this is all about. And they are doing it. So shout out to them. I hope they get their contract. But we should all, yeah, 1,000%. I have when I drink Starbucks every day at my store. It's been close to probably a year, maybe 6 or 8 months, not a year, maybe 6 or 8 months. No coffee, no contract. Personally, for me, I have stated that I will not support Starbucks until they recognize these workers in their union contract. And I tell them that. I actually have a Keurig in my office and Keurig cups from Costco, and anybody that works in my store can come get a free cup of coffee. We don't support Starbucks, and Starbucks needs to recognize their workers and the union contract that they are trying to negotiate. They have organized, and they would like a say in their working conditions. That's not radical. What's radical is that they're having to fight for it. That's radical. And these things like this, like they are forcing this on us. It's not the workers, it's the corporation, right? These baristas, a lot of these baristas are currently not getting their SNAP EBT money because they don't make living wages, or they don't have minimum hour guarantees like we have in our union contract, including for our Starbucks workers. So it's an interesting time for workers and for us as consumers. Like, that's the power that we have, right? That's the support that we can give is with our dollars, and not spending them. And I get that counter argument for you. I get the point. If you don't hurt if we don't shop at Starbucks, then Starbucks goes out of business and those people lose jobs. But we don't support the business arrangement that allows that those businesses and jobs to exist at that level of exploitation if the workers are saying that they do not want that. The response isn't then go get a different job or go do something else because I want 10-cent coffee. And the coffee isn't even cheap. So it's not like you as a customer are benefiting from these poor working conditions of the Starbucks workers. Those savings are not being passed on to you, the customer. Uh, Only the sugar and they've gotten much better on the fair trade of coffee. I was going to say the you think exploitation of baristas is bad. Wait till you see what happens to the coffee farmers. Um, but yeah, it's not a good pipeline because it's a multi-billion-dollar corporation and they're suffering all along the chain, including now where they're like literally closing Starbucks down, firing people from everywhere, selling their entire Chinese operation. And I guarantee you the CEO is going to get a raise. Brian Nichols is going to make more money as a result of all this destruction that he is causing to the brand of Starbucks. Um, and they would go a long way and they would gain a lot if they took the Costco mindset and appeared employee friendly. Uh, in fact, there's a strategy behind letting it pinch to this point and then being like, we are a unionized employee coffee shop, and then the explosion of positivity on the other side of that. It's hilarious that the companies force these wars against their workers, and then when the war is over and the workers have won, the companies market it as if they're like the God's gift to employment, and that they take care of their people. And the workers are like, who cares? Just take all the credit. I don't care because now I can afford my bills. And that's the march of history when it goes on. But hopefully they do right by their workers, and we can all celebrate with a frappuccino. But yeah, stay tuned. Everybody watch November 13th. Pay attention. And if you can, no contract, no coffee, don't support Starbucks. Yeah, them giving a pay raise and cutting our hours. So, to that point, and this can be how we close it out, but like, we got these raises, which, I don't know about any of you out there, but my life did not significantly improve or noticeably improve. In fact, my paycheck did not noticeably increase at all. I got the dollar raise. I don't feel it. My rent increased, my insurance increased. It touched my pocket, left my pocket. The the salary budgets of the stores did not increase. So now our management gets to tell us, I hope you enjoy your raises. I don't have any hours left now. I don't get to spend any money. That's not our fault. We didn't do that. And knowing that the company's going to do that to us, can next time we fight for a little more, please? If they're going to treat us like this and they're going to make work more stressful, can we get at least $5? Yes. Well, what I would say we should do, we should focus on, one thing that I would put my vote towards if we were having this conversation as a group, is that the minimum hour guarantee needs to go up. It needs to be a more sustainable number, like 28 or 32. And that would help compensate for that. That would help compensate for that. It's too low relative to the wages. And if they want the flexibility of short shifts, if they want people to work 24 hours, then pay double wages. And you can have all the flexibility you want at the cost of if my life needs to remain flexible for you to schedule me like that, you pay me more. No, we did not get that, and that sucks. So contract language is our staffing language is basically it's the general term for what we're describing, and that's what we would be wanting to make sure we get more of in future contracts is strong staffing language, which for people out there that think that union workers are just these greedy people that want more money for themselves, why wouldn't we just say, yeah, go less help, more money? When we're saying things like we want minimum staffing levels, we're trying to protect like our own safety and security in our work environment, but we're also trying to make sure that like the company doesn't hurt the customer. Like they've gotten it so close to nobody being there that the customer experience like sucks now. So when we are having to fight for these things like staffing levels, like this is like trying to save the business from private equity that just only understands how to drive down cost. So to your point about the salary budget, that's exactly what it is. Like our salary targets at Albertsons, they're a percentage of our sales. So if we're gonna sell $500,000 in groceries this week, our salary budget is a percentage of that, and those dollars get divided amongst all the employees based on their pay, and that's how our hours are determined. Now, the problem is that when sales go down, when the projection goes down, when Snap EBT gets cut, the salary budget goes down and it pushes staffing below the number of people needed to successfully operate the store. And that's when you start to feel that horrible pressure. We used to have a program called STAR, which determined a set number of hours that were required to maintain the standards of the store. And it didn't matter if your sales went down below what Star said you needed to run. You never went below that number of people. Once that changed, we really started to feel the pinch, and we're really feeling the pinch now, because they've put all of this all these iPads and stuff that they've given us, all this new technology. It's under this like umbrella program called Run Great Stores. The problem is that when they roll this technology out, they say that it saves X amount of time, so you can reduce X amount of salary dollars available to night crew, for example, because they're not writing orders anymore. They're using their iPad to check their inventory to verify that the computer written order is accurate. But if you ask any night crew manager out there if they saved time or lost time when this program rolled out, they'll all tell you they lost time. So that's another factor that's impacting us in the store. So staffing language is our way as workers to counterbalance that drive of private equity, which will be to always reduce costs. Always reduce costs, especially if they can't figure out a way to grow sales. So when we're in a situation like we're in right now, where we're in like an economic recession, and the economy is like nosediving, and things like Snap EBT money is getting cut, like if you can't do anything as a capital corporation to grow sales, you have to cut cost. It's the only thing you can do, because what you can't do is accept loss. It's you are failing in your you cannot exist. So you have to do one of those two things, and so we're very much suffering through that right now. And staffing language is our protection against that. That SoCal program just rolled out, and in the groups, national groups where we stay connected and share each other's secret stories. Just joking. In the national groups that we talk to, in SoCal, it's called My Time, and they can log into their My Time app. And if people have called out sick for shifts, the manager marks it as open, and employees can see it, tap it, take it, go work it. And that's pretty interesting. So we'll see how that plays out and how that works out, and if there's any sneaky things within that system that actually hurt us, those will be revealed too. So good stuff to bring up. Good conversation. Anybody have anything else they want to talk about before we wrap it up? We just hit 1 hour. All right, with that, we're going to call this meeting to a close at 9:01. We are adjourned. Our next meeting will be on November 19th at 8 p.m. every other Wednesday. If you've got workplace issues, if you hear workers in your store with workplace issues that they are talking about, encourage them to come to the Wednesday meeting and share that struggle. I guarantee you are not alone. And when we talk about it, we come up with solutions like a steward petition. So let's keep talking about it. Thank you to everybody for coming. Thanks for those who joined in the live stream. Thanks for those who catch it afterwards. You can find us on all of the At What Cost social media pages that we talked about at the top of this meeting. The link is in the YouTube channel chat and everywhere you go. Talk to y'all soon. Thank you. Goodbye.